Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. Hearthstone's Fractured in Alterac Valley mini set Onyxia's Lair is coming next week on Tuesday, February 15th, and in this video I'm going to take a look at the second day of card reveals. On the first day, 7 cards were revealed, there's a video on this channel about those, and on the second day we got 19 new cards. So overall 26 of the 35 cards have already been revealed, there's only 9 cards left to be revealed. But in this video, I'm going to take a look at the 17 that we got today, so that's quite a bunch of cards. First of all, we have an upgradable Demon Hunter card, Wings of Hate. At rank 1, summon 2 1/1 Fell Wings for 1 mana. Rank 2 at 5 mana, it's going to summon 3 Fell Wings, and then it's going to summon 4 Fell Wings. So unfortunately, it doesn't scale 2, 4, and 6, it scales 2, 3, and 4. And these sorts of token cards really... Token Demon Hunter has a lot of issues, and the biggest issue is that there's never been a successful token deck in Hearthstone that has been unable to buff the minions. And Demon Hunter doesn't have any ways to buff the minions. There are some ways to increase the attack of them, like with Field of Strife, but there's no way to give them more health, and that is just terrible, terrible news. So Wings of Fate doesn't really look like a very powerful card. But it's not the only new Demon Hunter card. We also have Keen Reflex, 2 mana, deal 1 damage to all minions, honorable kill, gain +1 attack this turn. This is a much more interesting card, although it is also a very situational card. Because deal 1 damage to all minions, that doesn't really do much, but maybe you can drop like Talnos and this, or Arcanist and this. Clear out some bigger boards. And the honorable kill mechanic on this is actually really fun, because honorable kill from any AoE spell, every single minion that it honorably kills, that's +1 attack. So if you can get a big board of minions, kill them all honorably, so they have to be at the same health total, and this has to deal exact damage, and then you can gain a whole bunch of attack with this one. Right now it's really hard to find suitable boards in the meta to really make good use of Keen Reflex, but the card definitely has some potential upsides. So might not go into the game right now, but maybe after the rotation. And the third new Demon Hunter card that was revealed is Razorglaive Sentinel, a 4 mana 5/4. After you play the left or rightmost card in your hand, draw a card. So resembles the good old Stargazer Luna in Wild currently, a mage card, 3 mana 2/4. After you play the rightmost card in your hand, draw a card. So with Razorglaive Sentinel you can play the rightmost card or the leftmost card. So if you happen to be going through your deck and then you suddenly run into an expensive card, then you can play the leftmost card, draw another one, and then you can start playing more stuff again. But because the minion itself already costs 4 mana, so you kind of need to have some mana cheating going on to make good use of it. I mean, Demon Hunter has the questline, of course, the Final Showdown, you have some potential to discount cards there, but it's still really hard to see how you can make this work in the Final Showdown deck, and does Final Showdown deck need more draw? Maybe. This seems to be like a common theme. There's a bunch of these cards that are looking like, okay, these could be interesting, these might work, but I just don't see how they work with the current cards. But maybe once we get another full expansion worth and we rotate a few expansions out, then yeah, maybe after the rotation. And speaking of old effects coming back to the game, Druid is getting Raid Negotiator. Valkyrie, discover a choose one card. It has both effects combined. Well, both effects combined, we have had that effect before as well with Fandral Staghelm. Here choose one cards have both effects combined. Obviously Fandral Staghelm had to be on the board to function, but you could play multiple choose one cards with Fandral on the board, whereas this one only discovers you one choose one card, but then the minion itself doesn't have to be on the board, so you can use that choose one card rather early. Out of the current pool of choose one cards, probably the most useful with this one is Nourish, because then you can gain 2 mana crystals and draw 3 cards. So that can be a pretty powerful Nourish, but can you discover Nourish reliably enough? And if you can't discover Nourish, are the other choose one cards really worth it? So this one might be a bit tough to use unless there are more choose one cards that you really want to have as choose 2 cards. But speaking of those choose one cards, there is a new choose one card coming that is a good fit. And that is Boomkin. Also, by the way, love the name, Boomkin. Balanced druids have long been called Boomkins in player parlance in World of Warcraft, but that has never been an official term. It has never appeared in any official Blizzard communication, but now we actually have official Boomkin in Hearthstone. So Boomkin, 5 mana 4/5, choose one, restore 8 health to your hero, or deal 4 damage, which can also go face, go to minions, and just compare this to an old dragon deck staple. We're introducing much dragons in this expansion, so yeah, dragon team. Just made me think about Blackwing Corruptor, which was 5 mana 5 for Battlecry for holding a dragon, deal 3 damage. So, an even more powerful card, and no conditions attached. The thing is, of course, what kind of druid deck wants to run this, because druid decks are usually like either aggro, and big swing turns, or then they're just ramp, and boom, board full of clowns or something. And this is kind of a mid-rangey card, so we'll see if this one finds a deck. Definitely an interesting card. But what is going to be the deck for this? I just don't see that right now. Then we also got some new Hunter cards today, and oh boy, Dragonbane Shot. 2 mana, deal 2 damage, can go face, can go to minions, honorable kill, add a Dragonbane Shot to your hand. And Dragonbane Shot and defend the Dwarven District, Quest Hunter. This is such a Quest Hunter card. You play your quest, then opponent plays a minion. If it has 2 health, you kill it with Dragonbane Shot, you get another Dragonbane Shot into your hand. Maybe next turn opponent plays another minion with 2 health and you kill it with Dragonbane Shot, and you're progressing your quest line, and yeah, that just looks like such a beautiful, beautiful match for Quest Hunter. And then a Hunter card that I never expected to see, Furious Howl. 2 mana, draw a card, repeat until you have at least 3 cards. So it's the Voracious Reader effect, but it's a spell and the effect is immediate. Like, this is crazy good card for aggressive Hunter decks. You just vomit your entire hand and you're out of cards, you play a Furious Howl, boom, 3 more cards, you have some mana at this point because the Furious Howl only costs 2, and then you can just keep jamming stuff on the board or to the face or whatever. Just a great looking card. This one is definitely going to see some experimentation as soon as it's out, and it's probably going to get even better after the rotation, because in the rotation we are losing Trampling Rhino. So right now, current phase Hunter decks, the card draw package pretty much consists of ways to pull your beasts. But if we give up on these beasts because we don't have Trampling Rhino anymore, we go back to some more spell-based things, charge-based things, and Furious Howl, excellent fit for that, so yeah, I expect great things from this card. Potentially playable next week and going to be great in April. And then we're getting some support for slower Hunter archetypes with Pet Collector. A 5 mana 3/3 with Battlecry, summon a beast from your deck that costs 5 or less. So this one can, for example, tutor for Rat King, Rush Deathrattle, go dormant, revive after 5 friendly minions die. You can pull the Rams that discount your bigger beasts with this one. Targeted card draw for slower Hunter decks. Now, slower Hunter decks typically are not very good, but this one can maybe help them out a little. Paladin is getting a new 2-drop with Battle Vicar. 2 mana 1/3, Battlecry, discover a holy spell. So it's not coming from your deck, you discover from the pool of holy spells, and right now the pool of holy spells is 22 spells. So in order to discover a specific one are quite low. And once 3 expansions rotate out, we don't know how many new holy spells are coming, but there's currently 14 holy spells in the 3 expansions plus the core set. Of course, core set spells can also rotate. So in core set we have stuff like Consecration and Equality, which could be quite nice cards to discover with Battle Vicar actually, because these are situational cards that you might hope to find just at the right moment, but you might not want to main deck them. But the overall size of the holy spell pool is so large that it remains to be seen whether Battle Vicar is actually going to be viable. Paladin is not exactly swimming in 2-drops, and Paladin has a lot of ways to buff its minions, so that gives more hope for the Vicar, of course. And the other Paladin card that we got today is Stormwind Avenger, a 3 mana 1/5. After you cast a spell on this minion, it gains +2 attack. Well, if you can jam some Librams of Wisdom on this, then that's going to grow pretty quickly. But the other question is, does this really offer something for Paladin? What card are you going to cut from like Libram Paladin to put this in? I just don't really see the connection. It's like an okay card in a Libram world, but then Librams are going to rotate in April. So in the post-Libram world, unless there is another spell that Paladin can just keep casting on its minions, then Stormwind Avenger doesn't really find it that good of a place. It is interesting how much questline support we're getting in Onyxia's Lair, because there was that support for Questline Hunter, for example, and then we're getting SI7 Smuggler, which is clearly support for Questline Rogue. It doesn't go into anything else than Quest Rogue, really. 3 mana 1/3 Battlecry, summon a random minion with cost equal to the amount of SI7 cards you have played this game. And you're going to be playing a lot of SI7 cards, of course, when you're playing Quest Rogue. And this is a great addition. Quest Rogue right now, it's like a couple of SI7 cards short of being consistent enough. And sometimes it's running like SI7 Infiltrator, but recently SI7 Infiltrator has not been used in Quest Rogue because Valkyrie destroy random enemy secret. It just does not do enough stuff. If the meta was more secret heavy, then yeah, we could run the SI7 Infiltrator, but because it's not really useful. But Smuggler comes in right at the right time, and also Smuggler makes a great companion with Shadow Step. Smuggler, Shadow Step, Smuggler again, summoning random minions. Boom boom, advancing a quest line. What is there not to like? Questline Rogue is a tad too weak at the moment. It's playable, but it could be a little stronger, and this is exactly the kind of card that it needs to become more relevant. The other rogue card that was revealed today is the most expensive rogue spell of all time, Smokescreen. 8 mana, draw 5 cards, trigger any death rattles drawn. I really want to see this card being played with preparation and then drawing Scrapyard Colossi and Cursed Vagrants and triggering those death rattles and summoning those minions on the board, as long as I see it on like YouTube or on a Twitch stream and not from my opponent. But overall, it's really hard to control Smokescreen. You're going to draw 5 cards. Okay, you get to keep those 5 cards, so yeah, that's also card draw, that's great. But do you get any death rattles? It's really hard to control that. You just can't put so many death rattles into your deck. So memes aside, this card is going to be unplayable. We're also getting a new Shaman spell and a new Shaman Frost spell at that, Bracing Cold. 2 mana, restore 5 health to your hero, reduce the cost of a random spell in your hand by 2. Slow Shaman decks have been lacking a little bit in healing, so maybe you could use this. There are like 2 ways that you can use this. You can use this as a healing card, of course, and then you can try to use this for that spell cost reduction, because then you could do like Burn Shaman with more stuff, Burning Phase even better. You might be able to get some discounts on your Dunk Tank, Corrupted more easily. There are a few things that you could do with this, but it requires you to have a good enough of a card draw engine so that you can support running a slow support card like this one. Shaman is also getting a new mount spell, Spirit Mount. Give a minion +1/+2 and spell damage +1. When it dies, summon a Spirit Raptor. And Spirit Raptor, unsurprisingly, is a 1/2 with spell damage +1. So you get some sticky spell damage, and that's interesting for a bunch of decks like Burn Shamans, for example. But on the other hand, right now Burn Shaman doesn't really want to use this on an existing minion, they just want to use Primordial Studies and Discover and make cheaper the spell damage minions themselves, much easier that way. So while the card has some potential, it's a little bit difficult to see how it fits in right now. We're also getting an anti-combo card for Warlock, Curse of Agony. Shuffle 3 Agonies into the opponent's deck, they deal fatigue damage when drawn. So first Agony deals 1 damage, second Agony deals 2 damage, third Agony deals 3 damage. Then if your opponent has drawn some Agonies and then they run out of cards in deck and they start getting actual fatigue damage, well, if they have drawn 3 Agonies from their deck, the first actual fatigue damage is going to hit for 4. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. Also, you could do Curse of Agony together with Tamsin Brome, so then you can shuffle even more Agonies into your opponent's deck. But unless your opponent is a deck that really wants to draw a lot, then that's not very useful. Even if you fill your opponent's deck with Agonies, if they're a very aggressive deck, they're not drawing that much, they just hit you in the face and you die. So either you need to be playing against a deck that is drawing a lot of cards, or you need a way to force your opponent to start drawing cards. But in standard format we don't have stuff like Coldlight Oracle, so we can't currently force the opponent to draw. So right now in standard this is like an anti-combo tech card, which I guess is nice to have, but I don't think it's going to see a lot of play. Warlock is also getting a really interesting board clear tool with Infestation. A 6 mana Fel spell. Note it's a Fel spell, there's that Taunt demon that casts a Fel spell from your hand, and this goes really nicely with that. Actually the developers even tweeted that this is planned to go really nicely with that. Summon a 3/3 Dead Imp to attack each enemy minion. So really depends on the meta, like, we're not really in a Glowfly Swarm meta anymore, for example, but imagine if we were. Glowfly Swarm, bunch of 2/2s on the board, Infestation, the imps kill the Glowfly Swarms and you're left with a board full of 3/1s. It can be devastating against token decks. So if there are a lot of token decks in the meta for some reason, then Warlock has a real nice new tool to handle them. Some new warrior cards were also revealed, but they don't quite match the level of the warrior dragon that was revealed yesterday. First of all, we have a shoulder check. Tradable, give a minion +2/+1 and rush. But the question is like, what minion do you want to give rush to? Okay, you could have some kind of death rattle minion or a frenzy minion, but like, you really don't want to run a bad minion in your deck just so that you can make it a good minion potentially by rushing it in. That's just not how it works. Tradable is of course nice because that means that you don't have to keep it in your hand, you don't have to keep it in matchups where it's not relevant. I just can't figure out a good use for this. We'll have to wait and see. The more interesting of the two warrior reveals from today is Hit It Very Hard. Gain +10 attack and can't attack heroes this turn. So this gives attack to your hero, but then you can't use that attack to go face. It only costs 1 mana, so you kind of can remove a lot of stuff with this, but you have to face tank them. I guess it goes kind of nicely with Bulwark of Ashnod. Bulwark of Ashnod, you don't take the damage yourself, then you can put +10 attack on yourself, smack into something, Bulwark tanks the damage, you remove something big. Earlier in the game you still have a lot of health, opponent plays something big very early on and you remove it, then maybe you can find some ways to take advantage of hitting into something, like there's Soulbound Ashtongue in the game. Whenever this minion takes damage, also deal that amount to your hero. But +10 attack is not enough to really turn this into any kind of a combo deck idea, so there's a whole bunch of downsides to using this, but if you have enough armor gain as a warrior and you can stay alive, then this is 1 mana to get quite a good chunk of removal, so it might be able to still see play. And finally, today's main reveal was a new dragon, Kazaku-san. 8 mana 8/8 dragon. Battlecry if all minions in your deck are dragons, so you can have spells in your deck, but all the minions they have to be dragons. Craft a custom deck of treasures. Yes, they are actually bringing Duels into Constructed. And Cora clarified this by telling that as you discover and pick 5 treasures and get 2 copies of each, it replaces your deck and you cannot pick the same treasure twice. So it's like Archivist Elysiana. You get a new deck of 10 cards, but this time it's hand-picked Duels treasures. There's a treasure pool. It's not exactly the same as the Duels treasures, and some of them have been rebalanced for Standard. Not all the mana costs are exactly the same. But the pool is large enough that you are not guaranteed to see any specific treasure. So, while those Duels treasures can be really powerful, then this is probably more on the meme side of the spectrum. Anyway, a flavorful way to bring some of that Duels development into Constructed. So, an interesting set of cards, many of which are probably going to be more relevant after the rotation, and then there's some really interesting support for quest lines at this stage as well, probably making quest lines more relevant even after the rotation. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, that's another matter, but that's what's going to happen. I expect the most powerful ones of today's release to be Dragon Bait Shot, making Quest Hunter better, Furious Howl, that's going to make Face Hunter better, and SI7 Smuggler, that's going to make Quest Rope relevant again. There's only 9 more cards to go, so we'll see. We didn't get as many dragons today as I expected, but maybe the rest of the cards will be largely dragons. Who knows? I will of course review them on this channel as soon as they have been revealed. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the content, please click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and check out my Twitch channel.